Note for Noah. This is for last week's episode to add in. Be sure to ride along with us next week as we explore Season 7, Episode 9, How to Win Friends and Influence Monsters, through the theme of ignorance.
Ooh, interesting.
Very good. Very good. Good job.
Not at all like we called an audible right before recording that episode and went, Contagion? That's a stupid theme. We're going to try that again. New theme.
Works.
Themes.
And that's our prerogative, you know?
Exactly.
No one will know.
No one's going to know.
They're gonna.
They're not going to know. Hello, and welcome to Saving People, Queering Things, the supernatural podcast where everything they learn about hunting, they really learn from Bobby.
Fucking facts.
Yeah. I love
Bobby
that.
supremacy, proven again.
John
This
Winchester.
episode. John Winchester, good hunter, what? Today, we are pulling up to Season 7, Episode 9, How to Win Friends and Influence Monsters, through the theme of ignorance.
Ooh, interesting theme.
Yeah. I'm your host, August. My pronouns are they, them.
I'm Sam. My pronouns are also they, them.
And I'm Noah, pronouns he, him.
Okay, so big feature of this episode is these burgers that make you like
Oh,
high / super out of it. It's really unclear if you're just like super out of it or if you're like actively like high as a kite. Dean seems to be high as a kite. Everyone else seems to be like just kind of sleepy.
so true.
Yeah.
So tell me a story about tell me any story about
Are we
an
having a drug
experience
talk
you
right
had.
now?
Yes, we are. Well,
Okay, we're doxing
I was
ourselves.
gonna be more subtle about that.
Oh, okay.
I was
okay.
going to be more
As a
subtle about the way I
teacher.
asked that question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you to tell me about a time. Just how do I want to phrase this question?
The most under the influence you've been.
I want to ask if you've ever had an experience like Dean's under a substance. No, I don't even know how I want to ask this question. I just wanted to ask a silly question about food / Okay, what's the weirdest thing you've ever craved?
Oh,
Well,
imbibing.
imbibing some interesting substance.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Cut out all that other shit where I couldn't
No, that was
nail
even
down a
funnier.
question.
Okay, well, one time, hypothetically, I may have imbibed some psilocybin mushrooms. And well, people who know me know that I have an odd proclivity for powdered donuts, like those little mini ones, right? It's a thing. And one time took the mushrooms, and then one of my exes and I had an adventure with powdered donuts that won't be shared on the podcast, but
Oh my God.
it was a good time. It was a great time.
That's incredible.
Side note, don't have sex on mushrooms, guys. It fucks you up off of sex for a while, just so you know.
That sounds unsurprising, actually. Are you sure it was that, or maybe it was the powdered donuts?
I can neither confirm nor deny. Mushrooms are hit or miss, though, because the very next time I took them, hypothetically, for the NSA out there, I had a ton of anxiety and stayed up all night listening to the sounds of the entire house moving, and went over every single Eminem song I knew. And at that point, I didn't know that many, but I was up for hours, and it was terrible. So,
Wow.
back and forth.
I
I've doxed myself enough. What about y'all?
don't have a good story for this. I'm just asking y'all because
Fuck.
I have a good story.
So
Okay, here we
I was
go.
counting on the two of you to have better stories than me about this. So
I have a lot of health things and have lots of chronic pain. And so I, this is the first and only time I've done this, was in a lot of pain one time. And I decided to mix a bunch of different substances. I had like my strong, like pain medication.
don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try this at home. Bad idea.
All of these
Bad.
hypotheticals are
Don't
bad
do
ideas.
this. I had my strong pain medication and 2 other different substances.
Ooh.
And then was just like high out of my mind. And I was like, the pain was gone. I was having a great time. But at this point, because of all the things I had taken, I don't remember what was. I was just at home, like nothing was. I was.
You made
laying
safe
in my bed.
choices to make unsafe choices.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so I don't actually remember this. I just know what happened because I have evidence of it. For context, I don't eat meat. I am mainly vegetarian, and I'm also gluten free.
But you haven't been. But you haven't been always.
I haven't always been. That's right.
Even in the past,
But
couple
I have
of
been
years,
for the last 5 years. I haven't eaten meat. I woke up to a bunch of wrappers by my bed and a Uber Eats receipt of 2 burgers, full meat burgers.
Oh no!
Glutinous meat burgers.
Yep. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
How did you feel? Was your stomach very upset with you?
Oh yeah.
I was worried that was the evidence.
So that could be anything.
I was also upset because of the other things that I took.
Right. Hard to know.
It was just a combination of all of the things that I put my stomach through. But yeah.
Damn.
Well, thanks for sharing.
We love it.
So now I don't mix things anymore because I'm like, who knows what I'm going to wake up to? I'm just going to have all these orders. I have a tendency to also online shop when I'm on substances.
Yes, I do know. This I did know from you telling me.
Oh, I buy the wackiest things. And then the next day I'm like, what the fuck did I...
Is it too late to cancel this? Fuck.
Right?
Oh.
We love that.
Anyways.
Hey, you know what? There are worse things you can do. Hi. And
I think you gave myself nutrients, maybe.
Exactly.
Not really that I needed or...
Not all the
you
good
gave
ones.
yourself food, sustenance.
Yeah, could have been worse.
Yeah, could have been much worse.
Very, very cool.
Okay, let's move on. Now that you've heard some very damning stories,
Hypotheticals.
very damning hypotheticals, it is time to catch you up on some Supernatural. So if you have not watched these episodes recently, here is what you've missed on the road so far. Noah is going to recap the show, get us up to this episode. You ready?
I am.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the two brothers, they hunt stuff. They finally get away from their abusive piece of shit dad and hang out a lot more often with their real dad, Bobby Singer, who's a fucking legend and an icon. And he teaches them so many things about hunting. He helps them out anytime they need help. He is very supportive of his older son's boyfriend, Angel, until his younger brother is struggling with his soul. And then older brother's boyfriend is kind of sus about the whole thing and not very helpful. And then they find out that Bobby is the best. Anyways.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Had to do it all about Bobby.
That's fair. You're allowed.
All right. Now we're going to have Sam recap today's episode, season 7, episode 9. Are you ready?
Okay, I think I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so it's the brothers and Bobby, and they're doing their hunting thing. And then they go to this restaurant called Bickerson's, and Dean has their new sandwich, and then Dean is being weird and high, and they're like, what the fuck is happening? And they find out that they're the leviathans have put something into the burgers, and then they have to go and investigate, and then there's drama happens and they try to escape, and Bobby, oh no.
Bobby, oh no, is the
Bobby,
right
oh no, that's where it ends. We don't know.
I respect it.
Yeah, and that's going to bring us right to talking about this episode. So, as we said, today we are pulling up to season 7, episode 9, How to Win Friends and Influence Monsters through the theme of ignorance. How are you doing, Noah?
Bad. Doing bad.
No.
The episode itself was pretty fun. The last minute had me bouncing off the walls, yelling at my TV. And for the record, we are doing a double record today, so we're going to hit episode 10 later this evening. I have not watched yet to keep myself fresh for this one, but wow.
Yeah, so no, you're going to go straight into watching 7-10, and then we're going to go straight into recording it in about 3 hours here. So,
yeah. But currently, Noah does not know what happens. We end on a cliffhanger.
Which, I mean, this might be as good a time as any to bump into my mixtape song, because the song I chose was Anxiety by Black Bear. And wow.
Noah's just going not for characters at all.
Going on how he feels.
Yep. I've got a lot of anxiety about Bobby, and I'm not loving it.
That's fair. That's fair. I've also gone with a like sort of emotional song. But I went with "I'm Okay" by Mother Mother. Specifically around Dean, sort of like Dean's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. He's not fine. He's doing very not fine. And I think this song sums that up quite well.
Okay, good.
And this song is also all about like making stupid mistakes but being, human, and that's sort of why we make mistakes, and it's actually going to be okay, but also like maybe it's not going to be okay. Yeah,
it's fine.
It's a good song.
It's all good.
Dean's not having a good time. Well, he's having a great time, and then he's having a not good time.
Which, for the record, I would have gotten that sandwich for sure. It looks
the turducken.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, it looks fantastic. Pepper jack, turducken, whole yes, mama.
Yeah, like, and again, Bobby and Sam are so judgy on Dean's food choices. So judgy.
It's like
let the man have a sandwich. It's not been a good time for him recently. Let him have a sandwich. Come on. Yes, he's supposed to know.
Nope.
Exactly.
And if he doesn't eat that sandwich, do they actually figure this out?
Not a chance.
This quickly?
Yeah.
It maybe takes them longer.
Yeah.
To figure out this exactly what's happening here.
I had a note on that where it was like it takes them longer to figure it out with Dean because he loves food so much that like when he's being all weird about the sandwich, like they don't clock it right away because he's just like that with
He's
food.
very passionate about his
He's very
his
passionate about his food.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like it takes them a while to be like, oh, this is different. This isn't just him enjoying it and being
right. There's something
like hungry
else.
And wanting good food. This is something else going on. But like if it had been Sam, they would have clocked it right away because they'd be like, what is happening?
It'd be weird behavior if Sam was like ravenous about a burger.
Yeah. But like this is pretty normal for Dean.
It's not until he starts to like he's sort of acting and he's sort of talking about like I don't care and I don't care that I don't care, and he starts actually and he actually like references Cass and the thing that happened.
Talks
And I think that's actually the thing that maybe goes both for both Sam and Bobby, who are like, oh, ding 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 ding. Like Dean has been unwilling to talk about Cass.
He's confronting some of his emotions, and not in a healthy way, but he's at least talking about them. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and the only reason he's able to, they're like, ooh, something's wrong. Yeah. Something's wrong. But like going back before they even eat the sandwich, first off, we're amateur electricians now.
That was hilarious.
What? Hooking like jumper cables up to a house. Okay.
What? That's not how, babes. That's how you get. Also, remember back in like season 1, like Dean like died from like sort of electricity gone wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems like he should maybe be not so about like I get it, you want electricity, but also have you considered the possibility of death?
And the brothers telling Bobby what glampers are. That was so good.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun. I love that like Dean was like referred to Sam. He was like, you tell Bobby.
I don't want to admit that that's real. You can handle this.
Right. Sam with the absolute disgust on his face.
Oh yeah.
Describing glamping.
Sam disapproves of glamping.
Yeah. I mean,
it is cheating, right? Like it's cheating at camping.
I agree.
It is. And you know what? Like that's okay if that's what you want to do, but it's not camping. You're just
a version. Yeah.
You're not like it's a different, to each their own, but like
for sure.
You are a lot closer to a hotel than you are to camping if you are glamping.
Yeah. Can't say that if I had a portable generator I wouldn't bring it with me.
Oh,
because,
exactly.
I probably would.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm willing to be 100% a hypocrite about this. Yeah. My partner, we have this like ongoing argument because he will call any kind of camping that like he'll call a lot of things glamping that I would argue are not glamping. So he'll be like, you are cooking
anything that's not like hardcore backpacking stuff. He qualifies as glamping.
He'll be like, oh, it's
like bringing a cooler.
And I'll be like, buddy, it's not glamping just because I have a cooler. Anyway, it's an ongoing argument.
He's like, no, dehydrated meals only.
And then I'm like, okay, buddy, like, dear, I love you, but also I would like to be able to have a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Like
that might be glamping.
No, you're supposed to be on my side here.
I'm sorry. The food, sure. You don't have to like hunt and catch or forage for all your food on a camping trip. Coolers, yeah, that's not glamping. Bathroom, I could see you could bring toilet paper, and that wouldn't be glamping in my opinion. But
I don't. I
Right.
think that if I
No, they're not like nice bathrooms. They're
No.
like fancy bathrooms. They're like
No.
camping or like outhouses.
yeah,
you bring a whole outhouse? Oh, you mean like
Not
at the
bringing
campsite?
it. I
At the
mean, I'm
campsite,
at
they
a
have
campsite.
okay.
I'm
Never
talking
mind.
about
I
I'm
take
not
it
talking
back.
about bringing
Oh,
it
if you
with
brought
us.
a bathroom with
Yes,
you,
that's
that would be
glamping. If you bring a
Gotcha.
bathroom with you, it's glamping. If there was a bathroom on the site, it's not glamping.
Yeah, okay.
Necessarily.
I agree there.
It's all about I'm like, if you're sleeping in a tent still, if you don't have a fridge,
Your phones and stuff can't be charged.
yeah, like
Yeah.
those are the things that make it glamping are like when you've basically brought the comforts, like most of the comforts of home, and you're not actually spending most. And also, I think most of it, like if you're not spending most of your time, like, if you're spending the majority of your time outside in nature, that's sort of the point of camping, right? Like,
Yeah.
anyway.
I see it.
Anyway, I don't. It's an ongoing argument in our house about what constitutes camping versus glamping, and I just needed to make sure that I had some allies here on the podcast. And Sam and Dean hate all forms of camping. I think Dean even says that in an earlier season. Talks about hating camping,
which we can all agree is John's fault.
They didn't get to have any fun camping.
I'm hesitant to say that he even gave them their own sleeping bags when they went camping. I'm betting he made them share.
No, it was like wilderness survival. It wouldn't have been like camping for the sake of camping. It would have been like,
yeah,
you be able to survive in the woods if we're like hunting.
Yeah.
That would turn you off of camping. Also, if the only time you go in the woods is because there's a monster there, I think that would turn you off.
Something that actively wants to kill you. No, thank you.
I did enjoy that we got back into like a hunt in the woods sort of. Like, we haven't done one of those in a while.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very season 1 for them to be like hunting a mysterious monster in the forest.
Yeah, I agree. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it did feel very fun. I also felt that.
And we find out that Bobby's the one that taught them to track in the woods.
I love that.
Like, we've operated under
like
this sort of assumption.
Actual hunter before he was a hunter.
And we've sort of operated under the idea that like John was a great tracker and that's like what he passed along and that's what made him such a good hunter. And like that still, might be true. But finding out that the reason Sam and Dean are good at tracking is not because of John teaching them.
Right. It's because Bobby took them out.
Yeah.
Also finding out that like they didn't want to shoot the deer when they were kids is like so cute.
No, but Dean says, I don't want to shoot Bambi,
man.
Like, Bobby's all, yeah, you don't shoot Bambi. Shoot Bambi's mom. I'm just like moving on. Fucking love it.
Oh, so yeah.
So good.
As much as I'm anxious about next episode, it was really sweet to have a moment with Bobby and each of the boys and him having like an honest, genuine heart to heart with each of them.
Yeah.
Was really nice.
Those were probably my 2 favorite scenes in this episode. And Sam and Bobby talk about Dean and then they talk about Sam. Like they kind of talk about both, but we rarely get Sam, Bobby talking about Dean. We've had a lot of like Dean, Bobby talking about Sam this season, but like it's fun to have it flip.
Yeah.
And it's kind of revealing how like worried Sam is about Dean.
Mm-hmm. It's very sweet.
He's talking about how he doesn't feel like Dean is the same Dean since they lost Cass.
Yeah. And he also talks about his own stuff. Like he's like, he recognizes that Dean is worried about him with all the like brain stuff with Lucifer.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he mentions like, the stuff with his brain and then the stuff with Cass and that being like kind of the thing that broke him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like very like Sam, they've kind of picked up on this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, whenever whenever, Ranger Rick gets got, I was really hoping that somebody would be a Clark or a Mo in this episode, but nope, it's fine.
No, nobody is.
But when Rick gets got and then Bobby's like, they turn off their lights and Bobby just listens and shoots the monster off of sound. This motherfucker is a legend. Pulling some Daredevil shit right here.
Bobby ends up being just sort of relegated sometimes in the fandom to like the like researcher, and you're like, Bobby's a fucking great hunter. In the field as well.
For sure. This one, again, at Bobby's, the one where he and Rufus go off on a little case, all 3 of those are Bobby can hold his own.
Yeah,
totally.
Bobby can absolutely hold his own.
I think he gets relegated to researcher because he just knows so much, because he's hunted so much. So it's
and because Sam and Dean often don't
the aspects.
Yeah. And he's the only one that's good at researching. Like sometimes he's the only one that knows. Sometimes he's the only one that actually has access to the information that they need. Like Sam's a good researcher, but also Sam's been living out of a car for his whole life. Bobby actually for a long time had an actual library, which it's still really disorienting to see them staying in places with Bobby that aren't Bobby's house. Like it's still really disorienting.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Dean, what does Dean say? Dean describes it as quality of life is crap.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
He's so grumpy.
So grumpy.
Which is saying something because they're used to like shitty motels and
sleeping
like,
in the car.
They're not used to that high of a quality of life to begin with.
Yeah.
But now they're
But,
effectively.
like, this is where he draws the line.
Yeah. Well, now they're effectively like, at least in a shitty motel, you have a shitty shower and like a shitty bed. And now they're like, no, we're sleeping in sleeping bags in abandoned houses with no electricity.
Yeah.
Probably no
They are
running
camping.
water.
They're effectively camping.
They're camping.
I would say they're glamping, honestly. They've got 4 walls and a roof.
I mean
a tent, you have 4 walls and a roof.
Yeah, but that's fabric. So if it rains, there's danger of, leakage and whatnot. They're not going to get rained on in this house, I assume. It looks pretty watertight.
So you heard it here, folks. They're glamping.
Yep.
How dare they complain?
How dare they? One thing I was complaining about, though, is this monster guy. He ate a cat. You fucker. Rotten hell. That's an unforgivable crime right there. You can kill people all day. I get it. It's just life. But if you hurt a cat, you eat a cat?
Crossing the line.
Crossing the line.
I mean, to be fair, it's sort of like they're eating that because it's like infected by
Leviathan goo.
Yeah, like it's sort of gone wrong. Like this isn't a monster that just eats cats. This is like yeah.
Fair. I would also say Leviathans would eat cats if given the opportunity,
absolutely.
So they can also fuck right off.
I mean, they can fuck right off for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Which we find out a lot more about Leviathans in this episode, and their plan.
True.
Like we know now that they're trying to effectively drug people to make them into food, but that it's not quite working. But that it's not quite working yet. Like they haven't quite figured out the formula yet.
Get them as docile as possible.
Yeah. I wanted to hear what the two of you thought about the like way they portray Dick Roman in terms of like the political stuff, because I thought it was really interesting. This episode, for reference, comes out in like November of 2011. So this episode's coming out during the Obama administration, but about a year before a federal election. So that's like the context for this. But it's coming out during the Obama administration, during his first term, towards the end of his first term.
So they're sort of leaning like a Mitt Romney type vibe, maybe?
Maybe? I don't know. And that's why I was like, what are they trying to do with, like, they are trying to definitely portray this sort of like.
I liked his characterization in this episode because he was a really good, slimy, but charming and like, he was entertaining to watch, to say the least.
Yeah. He says all the right things to like get political power, but you're a snake.
Yeah. Like I can't trust anything you're saying, but you're saying it really well.
Yeah. You can understand why he's sort of popular, why like he's become very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why he's managed to hide everything he's actually doing.
Yeah. He was a lot creepier in this one than when he showed up with Crowley. Like when he tries to threaten Crowley, it came across really like kind of flat because like we hadn't seen him be him very much. We just knew he was a Leviathan. And it's like, okay, yeah, Leviathans are scary, sure. But this one really like solidified that threat level for him.
Well, he's very strategic. And I wonder how he like chose, because they like choose their meat suits. I wonder, how much he like chose Dick Roman and was like, this person is really charismatic and liked and well liked and like will be famous and popular and like.
I can take that. And
this person's already. This person's
like I wonder like
powerful.
how much do the Leviathan like did they do research? How do they have that information to be like I want to go for this person because he has a lot of power.
They take the memories of their host meat suits, right? Because like
but like beforehand,
right?
How do they choose?
Well, and it seems like they move around a bit too, like at the beginning.
Memories of everybody.
Well, I think once they went from Cass into the water supply, then bit by bit they started getting people, and they were like, whoever the Leviathan leader was at that time was like, okay, so who in our memories has the most political charisma going on right now?
Who's powerful, and who can we sort of use, and who's got connections to industry? Like I think they choose someone who's like connected to the food industry. Like that seems pretty strategic because they needed not just someone who was powerful, but someone who could actually impact food production
and who could access that.
Seeing the doctor back was kind of cool. Like knowing that he's still, I mean, he's not at the hospital anymore. So like he just kind of dipped from that job and bounced.
His poor actual human family and like friends who were just suddenly like, this dude just disappeared. Like just left his job one day and is gone.
I want to say that was like in a completely different state too. So like
I think it was.
Probably,
very far gone.
Aw.
And then having him eat himself was a little gruesome. Glad they didn't show too much of it.
To bib yourself.
Oh, the bibbing. That's
It's this power move again. It's like the thing with
so
like Dick Roman. Like he is all like, you get the sort of impression that Dick Roman, like, yes, he's a supernatural being, but most of his power seems to be coming from his like ability to manipulate and like coerce and
he's very
like
strategic.
intimidate. Like it's less about the fact that he's just really powerful, like in a sense that he's a leviathan. It's more about the fact that he is like able to intimidate and manipulate everyone around him, including the humans.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see where they go.
We're starting to get, I mean, we're like almost halfway through the season now, so
Speaking of foreshadowing,
the
conversation that Bobby has with Dean.
Can we go back before we talk about that conversation? Can we talk about the conversation that they have at the beginning of the episode? Because I think it's important to talk about first, because it sort of leads to this one. Because there's a quote that Dean says. He says, "We're on our third world is screwed issue in 3 years. We've steered the bus away from the cliff twice already. What if the bus wants to go over the cliff?" Like that happens, that conversation early on in the episode. And then, okay, now I want to go back to what you were saying. Well, because they're like darkly related.
That conversation with Dean is
and that's Dean and like Sam's also in that conversation with Bobby.
It's very relatable, especially in the year 2024.
What if the bus wants to go over the cliff?
A lot of people seem to be trying to steer this bus over on purpose. I swear. These Texans and their lack of masks and vaccines, please do better. But we're not here to talk about that. But then once later, Bobby hits him with the, I've seen hunters live and die. You're starting to talk like the dead ones. And then he says, "I swear, I've been to enough funerals. I mean it. You die before me and I'll kill you." Fuck!
Oh boy. Bobby is so like, we've rarely seen him. Like, I think like maybe one other time we've seen him like talk to Dean like this. Yeah. And it was when Sam died.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's the last time he talked to Dean with this sort of like urgency of like, like he didn't, like Bobby usually doesn't give super specific advice to them. Like he usually doesn't, and he doesn't like usually step over that line of like explicit advice.
Yeah.
And this time he does.
It hurt a lot. I'm not ready. It's fine. The way my notes went, it went from talking about the bib to about how Dick is slimy but charming, and then Mr. Bobby headshot, which I said because he shot one in the head, like zero hesitation. Cool, that was badass. And then it's all caps. Oh no, and then Bobby, he got shot. Oh my god, no, fuck. I had to type it so fast I didn't even autocorrect anything.
It's just a stream of yelling.
Stream of consciousness screams. So yeah.
And it's like to have that after the conversation that he had with Dean, like Dean is talking about how like Dean's talking about how like he's talking the way a person, he says, "I'm talking the way a person talks when they've had it, when they can't figure out why they used to think all of this mattered." Like Dean, I don't know, the sort of depression arc that Dean is going through right now, where he's like sort of really questioning what matters and kind of like he's having a really hard time figuring out why. Like he said to Bobby a couple episodes ago, he was like, if like when they thought they lost Bobby, when Bobby's house burned down, and he called Bobby and was like, "If you are dead, I'm going to drive us off a cliff." Like that's sort of not changed for Dean. And Bobby goes so far as to say like, "You're not acting like a person. You're not a person." He said, "You're not a person, you're a hunter."
That
which
was
also is the worst thing probably to say to Dean. Like I love Bobby, but like that's a miss. That's a miss.
You are reading the room wrong.
Like Dean does not need to hear that he's not a person, that he's a hunter, because like he knows that. That's why he hasn't offed himself. But like that's not going to do anything for his like sense of like, why shouldn't he? I mean, and Bobby does say, he's like, "I don't care if it's love or spite or a $10 bet. Like don't you dare. You find your reasons to get back in the game."
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, I think Bobby is just wants to keep them around. Like, I think he is maybe not like thinking that strategically about the words that he's saying. He's just like kind of desperate to.
It's not that forethinking.
Not lose them. Yeah.
It's just going to make this next episode even more crushing.
Yeah. Well, and you see sort of like that when you get to the end of the episode. Because then, so I think, I don't know, I'm trying to think, what other notes do I have? If we're thinking about like ignorance, like there's there's a lot of ignorance in this episode. Like there's sort of
I do have one big ignorant point
yes
that I noticed where when when they finally see Dick Roman in the flesh or whatever, they see him and Dean says, "Remember when Crowley was going on about hating Dick? I thought he was just being general." Sir, that you are so ignorant of the entire vibes that Crowley's been putting out.
Right,
As if you could ever pass for straight, sir.
As if Crowley is even trying to hide like that
Not
how much he
even a
likes
little
Dick. Like
bit. Come on.
Crowley has flirted with Dean and Bobby in front of each other multiple times. And Cass. He actually the only one I think that Crowley hasn't flirted with is maybe Sam.
Which is
I don't think he's flirted with Sam.
Huh.
Yet.
I mean, he calls him like tall boy. I think he calls him pretty maybe once.
Called him Moose. Calls him Moose a lot. But it doesn't have quite the same vibe yet.
No.
Yet.
Where's that
lots
slash?
of Sam / Crowley. Oh, it exists. It exists.
I'm sure.
It is really interesting how Sam and Dean keep kind of missing each other and how they both have these conversations with Bobby, but they're not having with each other. Like, and they're both sort of like ignorant of the like just how much their sibling is sort of freaking out about them, and they like both know it, but there's sort of this like pretend, there's this sort of like, I am not going to say anything about this to you because you can't handle it, you'll fly off the rail, so I'm going to talk to Bobby. I think it's really interesting.
It's really cute.
And also I think Dean is sort of pretending ignorance about how much the Cass loss is mattering to him, because like as soon as he's like under the influence of this goo, he's like, I don't care about the Cass and black goo thing. Like that's the first thing he identifies, like once that sort of like pretend ignorant, whereas he's sort of been like pretending like what do I have to have a problem with, like everything sucks. He's been like really ignorant about the specific reason that he's not okay, because the specific reason that he's not okay is Cass,
because he lost his boyfriend
and he's about to lose his dad,
and no one else is ignorant of that, but Dean is pretending to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that kind of wall comes down when he is high from the sandwich, because that's the point, is to kind of like break those walls down. That's what they're trying to do.
Makes you not care.
And I also just like was like when he was like, oh yeah, this is the best I felt in months. And I'm like, oh babe.
That hurts. So sad.
Yeah.
She just gets like as much as it's like he's drugged. I don't know. I think it's kind of nice for him to like his brain to have a little break. From like worrying about everything and feeling all the things, to just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, he gets a moment of like, I guess, blissful. He gets a moment of like sort of like blissful ignorance, you know?
Right. Because he's like, I don't even care that I don't care.
And we're not trying to, say that that's a healthy way to deal with your problems at all.
No, absolutely not.
Listeners, please don't avoid problems. But if you're in a situation like this where you're chasing monsters that are, trying to kill you and it seems impossible, it's okay to have little breaks. It's okay.
Hopefully you've chosen them yourself and it's not like, drug induced by Burger that you didn't choose.
Exactly.
But I think you didn't choose this, but
speak to why people go to substances often. Is
absolutely.
For sure.
Well, like Dean is already like Dean is sort of and we see Dean numbing the pain a lot. Like we know Dean struggled with alcohol specifically, and that he uses it to numb like his pain and his feelings and to like get through, and like we see him explicitly say that he knows that about himself. But we see it in a different way in this episode because this drug in this burger acts fully differently. And it is it's interesting how the two brothers are dealing differently, because like Sam is dealing with his own things as well, but Sam is like sort of dealing with this like break from reality that we know he's seeing Lucifer still sometimes, and so he's just trying to like keep his eyes on like what reality is. Dean seems to be trying to mostly ignore reality, because if he thinks too much about reality, he's like, I will just not care. I won't be able to.
Kind of a heavy episode, even for how like light and fun and silly parts of it
There's
are.
some fun, silly lines. Dean says to Bobby, "We have to scrape some money together, get you a condo or something." There's some like, "Oh, Dad" sort of comments they make to Bobby.
I also just thought it was like really funny the way that like the brothers run into the building to face the leviathans with like these like cleaning sprayers.
It was
and their faces are so like it's just so comical. They're like so serious and like pointing them like guns, but it's just like a little like spray thing.
Effective.
Like,
oh yeah,
but it was a funny scene.
I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that was also used in Psych. There's an episode where Sean and Gus use it to take down some bad guys by spraying them in the eyes with some, I don't know, bleach or something, and it's beautiful.
It's a great use what you have. Speaking of like references, I cannot take credit for having noticed. I did get this from the Supernatural Wiki. Pointed out that like there's some similarities between this plot and some Joss Whedon plots, specifically in Firefly and also in Buffy. The whole idea of a drug that's supposed to make you calm but actually makes you a cannibal that exists in the film Serenity, and also exists in a Buffy plot line.
Interesting that we have those similarities right before one of the best characters gets killed off. A leaf on the wind.
No. He's not dead. He's not dead. We don't know what's happening. He's not dead. He's just been shot.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
The name of the next episode is Death's Door, but I'm sure I'll be fine. It's all good.
Doesn't say he goes through Death's Door.
They give the most chilling way of finding out too that Bobby's been shot, because you think they've gotten away and you know Dick is shooting, and they get in the car and then they find Bobby's hat, and like Sam leaning back to give Bobby his hat.
Oh my god!
Like I do
fading out to credits while they're still yelling his name. Fucking brutal.
Sort of indicative of like that happened in season 2 when Sam died. You had that same kind of thing of like Dean yelling Sam's name while the credits are starting to roll.
Yep.
Bobby did take some evidence with him, so Bobby ends up in Dick's office stealing evidence.
Yep.
So that's something.
Seeing their plans.
So we'll see what comes of that, because Bobby does take that with him when he escaped.
Thinking on his feet. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Further proof that he's the best hunter.
Yes, truly.
It's going to be hard to fight in the awards this year for Bobby winning best hunter, even though he should. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. I do want to point out that one of the international titles for this episode, so this episode is called A Few Different Things. In French, it's called The Jersey Devil. In Hungarian, it's called Friends and Monsters. But in German, it was called You Are What You Eat.
Wow.
Fantastic title. I do really like this title, because this title is a reference to like the Dale Carnegie book. Yeah, it's related. It's a reference to the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. But like You Are What You Eat is also a pretty great title.
Yeah, I agree.
Y'all got any final things you want to say about this episode?
I think I'm good. I'm just scared. I'm just worried.
Just scared.
That's where I'm at.
Just scared. Well,
yeah. I think,
yeah. It's not looking good.
It's gonna be a different Noah that comes on the next episode.
Yeah, we are gonna get you right after. We don't always record like right after you watch, but we are gonna get to record basically immediately when you finish the episode.
I'm gonna try to time it out that I turn off the episode and hop on the call.
And I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna hop on the call a little early so I can hit record. Yeah. So when you come in,
we're here for you, Noah.
Appreciate it. It's gonna be fine.
So, well, why don't we take that opportunity to move right into our final favorite section of this episode, which is our character blessings.
Any one of you takes this from me, I will end you.
No, I was going to say, Noah, why don't you go first?
I don't think anyone was planning on taking that from you.
I think we already sensed the threat to our lives. Yes. If we dared.
I'm blessing Bobby because he's a fucking hero and a legend, and he takes care of his boys so well, and he deserves more time with them, and he doesn't get it yet.
Doesn't get it.
And I just want to shout him out for all the Bobbies out there who are taking care of their kids just as well as him. I mean, obviously you can't be just as good. Sorry, Dad. I love you. But shout out to y'all and shout out to Bobby. He's a fantastic example for his sons. Not always great on the coping mechanisms, sure, but he's doing the best with what he can. And I love him for it. And blessings to Bobby.
Blessings to Bobby.
And shout out to Jim Beaver. Fucking killing it. Like,
killed it.
He's very good.
Absolutely killed it. I'm going to bless Dean. He's not, like he's drugged against his will in this episode, and then that brings up a bunch of confusing feelings, kind of like forces him to confront the fact that like he does actually care quite a lot, and he wishes he didn't, and he's been pretending that like nothing matters, but like the truth is it very much does. And that's like really not a fun set of feelings for him. So I want to like bless Dean and hope that he gets some rest and some like, like Bobby says, you got to find your purpose. You got to find your way forward, and sort of blessing to Dean to finding his way forward in a way that isn't self-destructive. Yeah, blessings to Dean.
Well, classically, we have all chosen our.
I was gonna say a lot of surprises today.
Well, some days you gotta mix it up, and some days you just gotta go with what you know.
Yep.
Right, exactly. So I'm gonna bless Sam. Yeah, I think obviously Sam is also going through it, but it's interesting to see him like having like recognizing that like Dean is worried not only because of Cass, but also like because of Sam's own stuff, and like worrying about Dean, worrying about him. Also kind of echoing August, like hope that Sam also can like find some rest and give himself some grace.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Some good ass blessings today, guys.
Yeah. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of this episode. Thank you both for your thoughts and reflections.
Right back at you. It's a good discussion.
It's kind of a fun, it's an underrated episode, in my opinion. It's quite a fun, interesting one. A lot happening. It's not an episode where I felt like I had to be like, ooh, and like critique its writing choice. Like it felt solidly written.
Yeah, I can see that. I like it.
Well, if you want to hear more, make sure that you are subscribed to Saving People Queering Things. We are wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you like to share our show with your friends, you can also join our free Discord server and find links to our socials and catch up on our latest season mixtapes. All of that and more at our website, queeringthingspodcast.com.
Also, if you haven't tuned in yet, you definitely should, because now we've got a super cool, super queer D&D adventure releasing right here on our feed called Queering People Saving Throws. It's us three along with Elena and KJ of Supernatural Opinions. And wow, it's very good. The players have been such a blast, and some big reveals. Big reveals.
We're having a good time.
It's great.
Be sure to ride along with us next week as we explore season 7, episode 10, Death's Door, through the theme of purpose.
Through the theme of Noah's anxiety levels through the roof.
So be sure to ride along with us next week while we therapize Noah through this episode.
Thank you all for coming along for the ride, and we wish you a very peaceful road until we meet again.